Hello, this is Zahirul. Welcome you all on Frankly Speaking. My guest today is Dr. Asa Torkelsson, representative of United Nations Population Fund UNFPA in Bangladesh. She took office 25th of January 2018. In her various capacities as international public servant, Dr. Torkelsson has served to promote gender equality and women's empowerment in several multilateral institutions and countries since 1998. Prior to her appointment in Bangladesh, she served and acted in several UN women positions as advisor for economic empowerment in Eastern and Southern Africa region based in Nairobi and in the Asia Pacific region based in Bangkok, as well as deputy representative for the UN Women Multi-Country Office for India, Bhutan, Maldives and Sri Lanka based in Delhi. We welcome Dr. Asa Torkelsson to talk about UNFPA activities in Bangladesh. Welcome, Dr.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. It's been a year since you joined in Bangladesh.
Yes, a year and a quarter.
A year and
yes,
a quarter.
to be precise.
Yes, yeah. How does it feel?
It feels great. It's been an incredible year. Super learnful and also exciting and a lot of work to do.
So, can you share something about your work? I mean, as a UN organization, lead UN organizations, the UNFPA delivering a world where you want safe pregnancies, every childbirth is wanted, every pregnancy is safe, and you want to untap the potential of young forces, and you are supporting Bangladesh government, also the people of Bangladesh. So, what is your experience so far in dealing with all the important issues here in Bangladesh?
Absolutely. Thank you, Zahirul Alam. We have had an eventful year delivering on our 3 zeros, namely making sure that no woman will die giving birth, and to eliminate the unmet need for family planning, which is UNFPA mandate, and in addition to eliminate gender-based violence, which is a big job in Bangladesh for all of the 3 areas in which we are working. And we are delivering and working to support the government in the whole of Bangladesh. And in addition, we have a quite substantive intervention as part of the humanitarian response. And so it's been a busy year, but it's also been really, really rewarding, because we are, although the figures are a bit slow to progress on on the unfinished agenda on maternal mortality, whereas Bangladesh is a textbook example for having made incredible progress over quite a long period of time. Unfortunately, for the past 7 years, it's been a bit stalled, and we need re-energized.
What are the reasons behind?
I think it's very hard and also expensive to reach the last bottom percentile of those who are currently unserved. And also we need to know better how we can be more effective.
Is it not very surprising that when you are saying that Bangladesh made remarkable progress over the years in reducing maternal mortality, but last 7 years the progress is so far been stalled? Why? It sounds very surprising.
The progress in itself may not have been stalled if you look at the overall numbers, because the population has also grown. So the current health system has to deliver for a larger population. And I think there has been very, very remarkable progress to roll out also services in the every corner of the country. But when you start looking at, for example, and I think this has been an amazing journey for me to work with our midwifery services, which is a new profession, which UNFPA, together with the government of Bangladesh, has started to train a specific cadre of midwives.
Is it remarkably expanding? I mean, the interest on midwifery.
The interest on midwifery, I think it's remarkably expanding, but we need more midwives. So I think we have a plan to reach 4,000 midwives, but it seems as if we need
4,000 midwives by a year, or collectively 4,000?
In the current pipeline. But 16,000.
How many we have right now?
I think it's around 3,000 graduated.
So another 1,000 is in.
So another 1,000 is in the pipeline, and then we need another 16,000. But I was very impressed. I was in Kulna, nursing and midwifery training college the other week, and I heard that there had been 975 new midwives approved to undergo the training, but 15,000 have applied to become midwives.
Oh, that's
so I think
impressive.
that's a remarkable indication that there is a lot of interest to join this heroic cadre of trained midwives who can help in delivering the services, not only at the point of actual delivery, but also to help in the antenatal care leading up to the safe birth, and also in the post-birth. And you know also that there are a number of complications that can emerge around the delivery point, such as fistula, for example, which is still a challenge in Bangladesh. But with the right support throughout your pregnancy pathway and at delivery point, this can go well.
You have been relentlessly working on safe pregnancies, safe birth, and reducing maternal mortality. No denying to that the progress you have made and overall Bangladesh have made is really impressive. But one area which I'm really curious to know your role, how you have been playing your role in terms of arresting gender-based violence in Bangladesh. Is that something that we have made due progress?
Thank you for raising this issue, which is of great concern to us, because the most recent data that we do have indicate that the violence against women in Bangladesh, unfortunately, is quite endemic, and the figures are very large. Now, unfortunately, I need to remind ourselves that in the whole world, violence against women is endemic. Even in my own very country of Sweden, but globally, 1/3 of women in the whole world, global data shows, experience gender-based violence. However, the figures in Bangladesh are higher than that. They are about double for women experiencing violence in their intimate partner relationships. We also
domestic violence is much higher than that of any other violence in the country.
Domestic violence is high, but we also hear reports from, for example, workplaces, that there is sexual harassment in workplaces. We can hear from the schools that girls face gender-based violence in schools, harassment. We hear that women outside may not always feel safe. And as UNFPA, when we are working in a humanitarian emergency, be it from a natural disaster or for the protracted crisis, such as in the Rohingya situation, we establish safe spaces for women to come and receive the recovery and the healing needed, the referrals needed. We also have included gender-friendly spaces in police stations so that women know and feel safe if and when they need to.
Dr. Osa, these are all definitely very steps which should be appreciated, but these are all reactive measures. What we can take to so that the violence cannot take place. I mean, the preemptive or earlier measure, the government or the law enforcing agencies or the organization like UNFPA or any other NGOs, what they are doing in terms of so that this sort of violence cannot take place in many forms and manifestations.
Exactly, and I think that Bangladesh in future needs to be a safe place for everyone, everywhere. We have a national action plan to end violence against women, which was approved by the government last year in November 2018. And now is the time to implement this excellent policy. And that would be amazing. And then everyone can gather within this plan and contribute the pieces, the different
Sorry
pieces.
to interrupt you, that we have so many plans in our country, in many areas. but we don't see any realistic action for that. Do you think that the action plan you are talking about for ending gender-based violence, is that really actionable? Do they have really taken remarkable action to arrest or to encounter all those gender-based violence in our country?
It is absolutely, definitely actionable. And now is the time to start the action. This year, since it was recently approved, we are looking for ways to find and define a monitoring and evaluation framework for it, and what will it cost to actually implement the whole of it. Okay. And that task should be completed within the end of the year. But in the meantime, there is a number of efforts that are still needed. Legislative measures on anti-sexual harassment and other measures, and you have mentioned...
Do you think that we need more legislative measures for ending or arresting this menacing trend?
I think probably implementation is where the focus should be.
We do have enough legislation. We do have enough laws.
We haven't completed the complete review of that and to see if there are some gaps, but surely what we need to do is to implement, and if we encounter gaps in implementation, legislative gaps, then the task is to bridge those particular gaps. But I have mentioned many of our initiatives, but in support of that, we need men engaged. Mm-hmm. We need men motivated to create the future Bangladesh, which is completely free of violence. And we need the new young generation to be fully on board, to realize that also the remarkable and also aspirational growth of Bangladesh into the future to reach the middle income economy, it will require a Bangladesh that is safe to be productive and to thrive.
But Dr. Osa, is that enough to motivate or inspire or aware men or the people, or it is needed right now to strict and stringent enforcement of the law? The lawlessness sometimes, or the legal system sometimes can stand against of all those violence taking place in the country.
Can I maybe, Zahirul, Alam, turn the question over to you? What will it take to inspire the men to act together and to bring about the changes that are needed?
No, definitely there
Do
are.
we need some more
but the
data or conviction?
Goodwill is not only the answer. Goodwill not only the answer. If a violence takes place, then definitely law enforcing agencies or the relevant authorities should come forward in a proper way, and legal actions must be taken so that exemplary punishment should be given first. Then that could be a deterrent, major deterrent in arresting or countering this sort of violence. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree that the legal measures are required, and women must be heard, and women's stories must be trusted in terms of and be taken very seriously. And we need to make sure that there is both the recovery, the prevention that we talked about, making sure that we don't have any new cases of violence. But if and when we do, we need to trust and listen to women's stories and to cherish them and to allow the protection needed, and also the legislative remedies that our legislations already allow. So really it's mostly right now about implementation, moment by moment, day by day, person by person, but also in the way we relate to one another, to build up this respect.
Yes.
And the anti-violent, society.
Dr. Osa, thank you. Dr. Osa, I know that UNFPA have been deeply engaged with adolescent and reproductive health. What is the progress in that area?
We have seen progress in terms of, for example, that adolescent fertility rates are going down, but there is also too slow. And we have a major initiative working in schools to provide life skills to young boys and girls. We really would like to see an end of child marriage. That would be really, really great for women, for girls, but also for Bangladesh.
But the scenario of child marriage even in South Asia, the state in Bangladesh is very dismal, very unimpressive.
It is dismal, and there is need for action to be taken there, and to make it a serious and bold commitment that this is no longer something that is belonging into Bangladesh going forward into our middle income aspiration. And girls are needed to be viewed as agents of change, as individuals and as contributors to the economy and society.
We are focusing on achieving middle income status, but do you think that along with the economic fundamentals, these social fundamentals or the status of women, the adolescent or in reproductive health, or untapping the potentials of young generation, is that adequately addressed or receiving attention from the policymakers in our country?
I hear that there are very strong commitments from the highest level to make sure that youth are actually being part of Bangladesh as the productive resources that youth are. But I think, again, there is need for each and every one of actors to be engaged to make sure that implementation is really happening. For example, I'm hearing a very strong commitment to a youth strategy going forward, to job creation. But for us at UNFPA, we really hope that it will be possible to see girls within that context of being equitably able to enter into the future of Bangladesh on equal terms and pars. And by the same token, we also know and we have seen that in a not so distant future, Bangladesh will be entering a quite substantive portion of aging population. And there will be need for the youth population to be on board and to drive the economy and society.
But there is also a major concern that in the age of artificial intelligence, where you see the job creation, where you see the room for job creation, new job is already drastically cut down. So how the challenge will be met by the countries like Bangladesh?
Do you see a radical, in the short term, reduction of opportunities based on artificial intelligence? In some societies, we may see that pockets of the economy is actually moving forward to the artificial intelligence. But I do think that there is so much need for each and every one, and that each Bangladeshi can be a marvelous resource in translating the vision of the country into the growth of the country.
There is a question of harnessing properly.
There is this.
Harnessing the potentials.
Exactly. To be able to harness it.
Where you want to see Bangladesh after your tenure or 10 years down the line?
I want to see Bangladesh where it wants to be.
Definitely a target has been set that we want to become a middle income country.
Exactly. And a middle income country which has its services equitably offered to the population to maximize the well-being and the happiness of each and every individual, irrespective of him or her being a boy or a girl or a woman or a man. So try to look at the fair distribution and development of the whole of the country. I think would be something that would be remarkable for Bangladesh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Osa, for joining me on
Thank
Frankly
you.
Speaking. Dear viewers, that's all my conversation with Dr. Osa Torkelsson, representative UNFPA in Bangladesh. Thank you very much for watching this show. You can watch this show also online. Visit our website www.ntvd.com, and thank you. We invite you to watch our next episode. Until then, do take care and goodbye.